Welcome in to Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Hope you had a fantastic holiday, whether it was Christmas or if it was Hanukkah, whatever it may be. Thanks for spending your post-holiday weekend with us here on the channel. Coming up, we will overreact to the Seahawks' loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. See what people on the internet had to say with their crazy reactions since then. We'll break those all down coming up in just a few moments from right now. Before we do that, though, in case you have not heard, our old friend Russell Wilson just got Nathaniel Hackett fired. He didn't even finish the season yet. He's already gone from Denver. So, with that, how can you not help but laugh? Type LOL in the comment section for what's going on in Denver. What a mess that is. Type LOL in the comment section for Nathaniel Hackett getting fired, and we'll start with today's show. Overreaction Monday. What did the people on the internet have to say after the Seahawks lost to the Kansas City Chiefs? Well, it was pretty interesting, actually, as we scoured the interwebs. And one of the first things that I stumbled upon, I didn't have to go very far from this, as I was checking the YouTube chat during our watch party, which we had a great time on Saturday, or the comment section after the game was it time to start Drew Lock? No, the answer is no, it's not time to start Drew Lock. And for me, here's what I break this down to. I know some of you have been wanting to see Drew Lock, and I get that. But for me, you'll only start Drew Lock if, one, there's an injury to Geno Smith, and two, if you are eliminated from playoff contention to see what you got, essentially, in Drew Lock. And remember, his contract's about to come up anyway. You might want to see what you have in him. And the Seahawks actually could be eliminated after this week. If they lose and everyone else around them wins, the Giants, the Commanders, the Lions, and the Packers, if they all win, Seattle loses, they're done. Playoff hopes vanish, gone just like that. So in that case, then you go to Week 18, maybe you do start Drew Lock. But I don't think you make the change right now with the idea of punishing Geno Smith. Like, this is supposed to be some alternative of some sorts to turn this thing around and try to make the playoffs. Look, we saw Drew Lock, what he did in the preseason, compared to Geno Smith, and the competition was not even close. Geno Smith was the far superior quarterback. Is Geno playing his best football right now? No, he's not. Far from it. Geno, I think, has had a really good year. I mean, he's in the Pro Bowl, for goodness sakes. Benching him is not a solution if your goal is to try to make the playoffs. The only scenario in which I want to see Drew Lock on that football field is if this team's eliminated, and then you just want to see what you have in Drew Lock. Other than that, no thanks. That's not going to solve anything going to Drew Lock as far as I'm concerned. So, if you were Pete Carroll, if you were the head coach, should you start Drew Lock at all this season? Let me know in the comments section. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Type Y for yes, type N for no if you think Drew Lock should start at some point this season or not. Let me know. Y for yes, N for no if Drew Lock should start. Number 2 on Overreaction Monday. Is it time for the Seahawks to tank? I didn't have to go very far for that overreaction either, as I was seeing folks in the YouTube chat, in the comment section, say this on this one too. And as a competitor in me, that one just goes against my inner being of hearing the idea of tanking, not playing to win the game, as the great Herm Edwards would say. But let's just go ahead and, for all intents and purposes, look into the situation, the case for tanking, okay? The current NFL draft order right now, the Seahawks would hold the number 3 pick from the Denver Broncos. Shout out Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson for that one. And obviously they're not in control of that. That's all dependent on what Denver does. Then you see, as you move on down the draft order, after those top 4 picks, it's the Colts, it's the Falcons, then the Lions have the number 7 pick courtesy of the LA Rams, and then the 8th pick goes to Carolina at 6 and 9. Then things get interesting. This Seahawks team right now, if the draft were held today, would have 2 top 12 picks, and they would have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. Obviously, that's not going to change unless there's a trade of some sorts. But basically, if you lose these next two games, then you're not just going to have the number 12 pick. You're even going to probably go further down, essentially, that draft order. And you could end up in a situation with two top 10 picks. That's not out of the realm of possibility if you were to lose those next two games, potentially. So, with that said, we know that this Seahawks team is trying to build for the future and position themselves for what I think is a bright future for this organization. But I get the idea, the concept, but I just don't see Seattle just throwing away these two next games and not trying. I want to see them at least do what they can to get that playoff push. Even if it means them getting to the playoffs and losing in the first round, I want to see this team put their best foot forward every single week. So would you rather, if you had the choice, lose the next two and help that draft stock, or would you rather win the next two and make the playoffs? What would you do if you were in that position? Let's type W for playoffs, T for tank. If you could make the call and decide what this Seahawks team does, what would it be? Let me know in the comment section. W for playoffs, T for tank. Let me know in the comment section below. Baby, it's cold outside, and we need some warm layers these type of days. I mean, not just ogres have layers. We need some layers too, folks. And here's your chance to get yours. I know that Christmas is past, but it's not too late to get a present for yourself or a loved one or a Seahawks fan out there. We have hoodies on sale now, up to 50% off. It is a great deal just for Seahawks Today viewers. You can get yours now. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hoodie to get yours today while supplies last. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks hoodie. Number 3 on Overreaction Monday, and this one was courtesy of Stacy Rost of Seattle Sports 710, does radio up in Seattle, and Stacy said that this Seattle team, after this loss to Kansas City, has some deep-seated issues that are, let's just put it this way, heavy repair, essentially, is the way Stacy kind of framed this. I want to read you what Stacy had to say. This was on SeattleSports710.com. I'm not here to tell you that losing games improves the standing of their other picks, the ones not originating from Denver. Instead, it's important to remember that no matter who the Seahawks add, a couple high draft picks won't fix deep-seated issues. If the Seahawks lose out and lose ugly, it won't matter if they find the second coming of Aaron Donald in the draft. They'll need more. They'll need to change, adapt, find more from existing veterans and former picks already on the team. Stacy brings up a good point. Look, the draft capital, all of that is a great thing. I understand people getting excited and for the future of this team, but there's still more to that. There's still, when you look at this roster, there is some development issues that need to be fixed. There is a culture problem, I think, when you look within this Seahawks organization of some of the guys that, not this year's past draft, but previous drafts that just haven't come along, that haven't done what they were supposed to do. And so for me, that's what I look at. I think Stacy's absolutely right, that there's more work from within that needs to be done, that if you're just thinking that, oh, these next two games tank and hopefully you end up one of these, with two top 10 picks, and that's going to solve everything. Newsflash, it won't. I mean, it might help, but the Seahawks, it's been a really good year. I think we're all excited of what they've been able to do considering the circumstances, but this team still has a ways to go to get to where they want to be and take that next step as far as I'm concerned. So, very good point. I agree with Stacy as far as that goes. There's some deep issues with this Seahawks team. Subscribe today for never-ending Seattle Seahawks news and rumors right here on the channels. We cover your team like no one else is. We have our watch parties, our live shows, daily segments. It's all in one place. Subscribe now. Best part about it, it's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. Number 4 on Overreaction Monday. This is another one that I don't think is actually an overreaction. Austin Blythe has to go. I mean, he's done. beyond this year, I don't think Austin Blythe is wearing a Seahawks uniform. And I know that you look at the rushing numbers of what we saw from Kenneth Walker. Oh, he had a 100-yard rushing day. Things are improving, getting better. Well, I'm going to show you some statistics, and they're not great for Austin Blythe. Let's put it that way. Here's what Lee Vowell of 12th Man Rising had to say about Austin Blythe. Current Seattle center Austin Blythe knows offensive coordinator Shane Waldron's system, but Blythe simply isn't big or powerful enough to be bullish. He also seems to do weird things with the ball prior to snaps and gets called for false starts too much. Once is too much, to be honest. I am not saying Seattle needs to take a center in the first round, but taking one in the second round makes sense. Seattle should be able to run the ball effectively with Ken Walker for a number of seasons. He just needs offensive linemen who can create holes consistently. Blythe can do that, and it's time Seattle chooses its center of the future to go with bookend tackles Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. Look, I wouldn't be opposed to drafting a center in the first 2 rounds. And if you look at the last couple of years, there's been some pretty dang good ones in the first 2 rounds. The likes of Tyler Linderbaum, who's now with the Ravens, Creed Humphrey in Kansas City. You're going to have some options there. We've seen that within the last couple of years. And the numbers for Austin Blythe, look, they're just simply not good enough. Look, run blocking, 71.1. Or pass blocking, rather. But that run blocking grade at 48.4 is abysmal. And this Seahawks team wants to establish the run. They want to run the football badly. They are going to need a center that they can trust, that they can rely on, that's going to be able to open those holes in the run game. Look, pass blocking is not good enough. You have to be able to do both, and Austin Blythe simply isn't doing a good job of that, besides just the penalties and the other things that have stacked up with him. So I'm on board of moving on from Austin Blythe and looking to the draft and using one of those first 4 picks in those 2 rounds on a center personally. What about you? If you were John Schneider, would you draft a center in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft? If you would, type D for draft. If not, type P for pass. Let me know in the comments section below. As always, you can follow me on social media, on Twitter at Tyler Jones Live, and I will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. Thanks for joining us.